thought it was about time we had another garden tour. So come with me and I'll show you around and you can see what's happening in the middle of winter in my garden in Auckland. It was really chilly last night. I think it went down to 5 degrees. So we're properly in winter for us in Auckland in New Zealand. So anyway, let's have a little look at the woodland border. That seems to be doing okay. The Hardenbergia is now just starting to flower. So that's really beautiful. That's lovely. Pleased about that. And we have a few daffodils out, and of course the hellebores. The hellebores are the star in winter, so they are just looking gorgeous. I have a few bulbs coming up that I planted. So those in the back there are snowdrops, I believe. No, they're bluebells, I think. And then I have snowdrops. Oh, that could be one there, just coming through there. Snowdrops, I think, are put at the front. We've got the snow in summer, which looks really sad, obviously, in the winter. But I think those are a few poached eggplants that maybe are coming back from last year. So that would be rather nice. As well as the daffodils, we've got some of the hyacinths coming out as well. So this woodland border is sort of chock-a-block with various bulbs which I've collected or been given, and they all sort of come through. And then there are the foxgloves, which are doing quite nicely as well. So high hopes something's going to happen there in the summer. I'm just checking out my white scented border that it is now known as. The Daphne is delightful and smelling amazing. I wish I could portray the smell on the camera, but of course I can't. We've got that's the clematis that I put in. I don't know how well it's doing, and we'll see how these things go. I've got, oh, you can see my shadow, sorry about that. We've got a couple of those dwarf clematis, and then that's that little extra rose that I put in that a friend gave me. It's got a lovely scent and it's a little white flower, so that's good. And as you can see here, that is the clematis that is cardinal red, and it's just starting to leaf up. So spring isn't far away. I think we're talking 5 weeks until we get spring, so I really need to get on with this pruning. The espaliers are all just sticks and things at the moment now. They've dropped pretty much all of their leaves. I need to get in there and give those a good prune. As of course for the wedding day rose, that needs a really good prune as well. Lots of jobs to do. Of course the fig needs a good prune as well, so that's another thing. But my foot is feeling a little better now. I sprained my ankle the other week, so it was a bit sore. It's still a bit sore, but it's a lot better now. So, and I've got flowers on, that's the bacon avocado. So in here I have bacon, reed, has and fuerte. I think that's how you say it. There are 4 avocados. We have some avocados under there still to pick. I don't know if you can see them. They're on the reed avocado. The chicken run is looking very wet, and that is the snail vine, which I didn't know if it was going to die right back to the base, but it looks like it stays in its form, but just looks a bit unhappy. And then presumably in spring it will come away again, so that will be nice. Hopefully we'll get flowers this year, because apparently they smell delightful, so high hopes for that. Of course, I do still need to prune that apple over there, Monty's Surprise and Peace Good Nonsuch. That needs a bit of shaping. The almond tree there, I did shape that after in the summer, which is when you're supposed to prune the stone fruits. So I've done that already. That's my fan-trained Maya lemon, and that's just putting on so much growth and looking really happy. So pleased about that. And that's in contrast to, of course, on my herb border, which is mainly Mediterranean herbs. So they look very sad at this time of the year. And of course, that's my new rose that I've put in, the Dublin Bay, that was over on my pergola, wasn't doing very well. So I moved it over here in my last video. And what's behind it, as you can see, those are spare garlic. So when I planted up my garlic bed, I had a few spares, and daughter number 2 just basically popped them in there. I'm in 2 minds. I might actually pop them into the garlic planter bed when I find out really what isn't going to fire yet. We'll see. Looking at the other espalier here, we've got a pear there, and that's an apple, and that's a pear down there. They again need pruning, and you can see my quite sad looking lavender border down there. I'm hoping they're not dead and that they will come away in the summer, but we will see. My pots are all looking very sad. They never look very good in the winter. I mean, I've tried putting winter flowers in, but it doesn't seem to work. But the lemons, I hope the sun isn't going to get too much in the way here, but the lemons are looking lovely. The potted lemons, not sure what they are because they came with the property, but they do appear to be dwarf lemons, I think. But they are covered in fruit, and we're just using them slowly. They've been delightful. So, and again, you can see now that my micro vineyard is in place, of course. And Jacqueline Dupre, the new roses at the back, moved from the West Gardens. And again, herb garden at the back here. The coriander is now bolting, which is fine because the main crop off the coriander, to be honest, is the seeds. We leave that all through the summer and then take the seed pods off that and use them in the kitchen. So it's been delightful to have the coriander. There's still usable coriander there, I think, but we will leave it now to go through to the pods, which we'll harvest at the end of summer. The sorrel was given to me by a friend, and that is delicious. Both the chicken's having a little nap. Are you tired, sweetie? Yeah. So the chickens love that sorrel, so they lean through and chew the top off, but we still get some, so that's great. The mint is looking a little sad. Everything's looking a bit sad. Comfrey, lemon verbena. I gave everything a big chop back, actually, when I did this mini vineyard. So one of the things that is doing very well is the flax in the chicken run. The Hebe, as you can see, has decided to be toprid. They do like to nibble at the base of it, but it's getting away at the top. So I think it probably will survive, but it might just be more of a toprid Hebe. So we will see. This flax over here, not as happy, but not dead. You know, that's always good in my garden. Not dead. It's a classification. The colour of the leaves during the autumn and the winter has been delightful. Look at that. But we are now budding up. So I need to look up how, oh look, we've even bud burst, it's even leafing up here. So there are a few things in the garden that are already kicking into spring. So I do need to see how to prune these. What's the best way to do it? Because I haven't pruned blueberries yet, and I'm presuming one needs to, so I should probably look that up and get onto it in my pruning splurge, which hopefully will be next week. The garlic is doing really well. I don't know if you can see, it's a bit above my head height, but hopefully you can see that all of that is coming up really well. So pleased about that. They seem to be doing quite nicely. So yeah, fingers crossed they won't get decimated by rust, which is last year they rotted in the ground completely, and then they get rust and then they don't do very well. Got buds on the lemons. Oh, it's gorgeous. The garden has decided that actually spring is here, and we've even got some pretty flowers, so that's lovely. Okay, let's have a little look in the kitchen garden. We've got the Cavolo Neros doing quite nicely along there. The chard is looking sunny at the back. The broad beans are up and romping away, and of course we've got beautiful brassicas. Isn't that gorgeous? Look at that. The sun glints on the water on the brassicas. Just delightful. We've still got some carrots in, which we're making our way through, and the leeks. These are leeks that sort of survived the summer. I mean, that one's doing okay. The summer was terrible. They just rotted out. So I've got a few survivors. And then I put in some new leeks, which of course are not doing very well at all. So this summer was so bizarre. The garden is all over the place because things that were supposed to finish didn't finish, and then so I just ended up putting stuff everywhere, and sort of where there was a space I bunged stuff in. So not much of a plan this last year, just because we had such a strange summer. So as I say, these leeks are late sowings, late plantings, which have not really done much at all. And then there are a few survivors from the summer that didn't rot out, and they're a bit randomly all over the place. So there could be some baby leeks in my future, I think, because these beds will be getting planted up with the spring crops, well, you know, in a few months' time. So did you hear that, leeks? You better get on with it. Better get on with it. Yeah. Right, so that is France. Let's have a little look at the UK. As you can see, still pretty much still in complete shade. So lots of baby brassicas in there that have not done much. But once the sun hits this bed, they will kick off. Absolutely, they will be quick on the mark and they will produce food pretty fast, I think. Hopefully before we need this bed, because I think there's an early crop going in this bed, which is Birmingham. So you better hurry up because you're going to be out soon. And we have peas. Well, the pea plants. We haven't got pea pods yet, but as you can see, we have pea flowers, which is really lovely. So hopefully soon we'll have peas set. If only the pollinators can get out. We've had some dreadful wind the last few weeks, and I always think it must be impossible for pollinators to fly and pollinate when they're battling the wind. It is a little calmer today, which is why I've popped out quickly for a tour. The garden's looking a mess because I've not been able to get into it, basically due to my foot and due to a whole bunch of other things. So I've done a little bit of work, but the weather's been rubbish. So anyway, let's have a little look in Italy. Italy is, excuse my shadow yet again, Italy is brassica city. There are just brassicas everywhere. They all just got bunged in. They are a mix of broccolis, purple cauliflowers, we've got chard, all sorts. And as you can, I don't know if you can see, we are harvesting as we go. So the top heads have come off and now we're into side sprouts. We've got heads there, but you can see. So we've got heads, and then we pick them off and then we go to the side shoots. And of course we still have some of our star Cavolo Nero. The Cavolo Nero that has gone through 2 cyclones, a rain flooding event, and it's still standing and still producing food. So lots and lots of brassicas, but they're doing really well and feeding us, so that's great. Having a look in Germany, we have, let's see if I can get out of the sun. I'm going to try and look at Germany. I'm going to try and look at Germany through the top because the sun's going to be in my eyes. Those peas there are coming on. They're a little bit behind the other basket. We have the star Cavolo Nero still producing food, and honest to God, these Cavolo Neros, some of them are taller than me, easily taller than me, to be honest now. Looking through at Germany, you can see that again, more brassicas, not too much going on in here because again, fully shaded at this time of the year. But the rhubarb is doing well. Look, over in the corner, the rhubarb's doing quite nicely, although I had to break it to it, but I might have to move that. So yes, it will get uprooted and moved to a new position soon. But yeah, there's a little bit going on, onions and brassicas and carrots and all sorts in there. So there's a little bit of sun on that corner now, which is good. The rest of the bed's in shade, but there is a little bit of sun there. Okay, let's have a little look at Park Square. Okay, so potatoes are a go. They are all through. They've all been earthed up. Now, apart from that latest one, you see we have had some wind, so some of these potatoes have just been ripped apart. But anyway, potatoes are very good at coming back, so high hopes for that. The bucket, the last bucket I planted in there, nothing much going on yet, but hopefully soon. And we have action in the cold frames. So if you remember, I sowed those baskets the other day. Well, if you see now, we have little peas coming through, so that's nice. And then that one there in the pot, that is a, let me remember, Okinawa spinach. That was a little cutting that somebody gave me, a visitor to my garden, and it is now potted up and hopefully will be going into the garden soon. So that's what's in the cold frame. There's nothing in the other cold frame yet. It's too early in the season, so that's just vacant at the moment. And that is a sedum that a friend gave me. So I popped it into this little pot because it's a succulent, and these pots, these tiny pots, are notorious for us that they just don't stay moist in the summer. So I've decided to put succulents in, and yeah, that sedum is doing quite nicely there. That passion fruit is doing quite nicely. We still have that fruit. It's still green. I don't know if you can see it. It's still green and still sitting there, so I don't know what it's going to do. But anyway, the passion fruit is romping away. I feel like I should maybe do something with it, but you know, sort of organize it, pin it up or something, but it's a food for us, so I'm letting it get on with it, really. And another thing that is budding up is the elderberry. Look at that, the elderberry is kicking off as well, and I haven't pruned this yet, so I need to get in there and give it a good prune. Incidentally, I'm actually just making elderberry jelly in the kitchen at the moment, so it's just coming through, go through a straining bag. I'm just about to go back in and add sugar and make it all into a jelly. So the circle of life comes around, there it is, off again. So, and that is a very productive tree. We usually get enough for quite a number of jars of elderberry jelly, which is delicious, and also some elderberry wine I've got on the go, which I need to rack, and maybe a bottle, so that'll be exciting. The bananas, after my big prune, they're doing very nicely. We just have just at the back there, that's the last of the old stalk stems. I can never remember what it's called, stems I think. The last of the old stems is just there. It has a bunch of bananas on at the back. We haven't finished the bunch of bananas that are in the conservatory at the moment, so they're not quite ripe and ready to come in, but I have done some serious rationalization in there. So we just now have well, I've actually left 3 stems, sorry, I've actually left 4 stems, because I thought if I take out that, oh, actually I can see 5, yeah, 5 or 6 stems. If I take out that old stem, I was concerned that I might damage, if I just went down to 3 stems, I might damage the ones surrounding it. So I've left a few little pups. When I take that main stem out, I will take the others out, so I get back to 3 stems. It has been incredibly windy, so the bananas are looking really rubbish at the moment. They're looking completely wind blown, but you know, that's what happens. And I do need to do a perimeter trim, because as you can see, the neighbours' plants are coming over the fence again. That one I do give that a big prune when I do the plum tree, but further down the growth is just coming over the fence, so I'll give that a good prune with my pruning session. As you can see down there, down the west gardens, it's coming over again, so I will pull that back as well. The grape is in need of a prune all the way along. It's just sticks now, and I need to get up there and prune it all the way along there. And Madame Alfred Rose further along needs a good prune as well, so jobs to do next week. The strawberries are looking a little bit sad. I've actually got big plans for this. So I need to take all these strawberries out and clear these planters and the wheelbarrow and move them out the way, because what I plan to do here is to build a wicking bed all the way along the back of the old carport, if you like. So that's in the plan. We've got some really big hefty wood. I don't know if you can see it under that tarp. Some really wide, big, heavy planks left over from the build, and I'm not quite sure why we have them, why they were left over, or what they are. They're not part of the internal framing. I'm not quite sure where they came from, but anyway, we have them. So I was thinking that we could make a wicking bed along the back with those. So to do that, I need to pull these out. And what I also have a plan for that wheelbarrow. I'm toying with the idea of planting it up in Mediterranean herbs, and then actually putting it outside our gate, securing it somehow, and leaving it to neighbours and people walking past to pick herbs. So we'll see how that goes. It may or may not happen. And then the white railing which I picked up off the side of the road, that is going to go down into the west gardens, because we've had some big changes here. I have taken out the jasmine that was there and not doing well, and all the flowers were being eaten, and it was, yeah, in the wrong place. So that's come out. I think at this point I'm going to move Big Ben. So the structure there, I think it's going to move to where that rhubarb is in the kitchen garden. And then down the side here, I might put that white railing in, which will match the railing on the other side. I think that's the plan at the moment, but we haven't got there yet. The citrus grove, as you can see, probably needs a bit of a prune. I've eaten all the fruit now, so there's none left. And again, some of those shrubs coming over from the neighbours need knocking back a little bit. So yeah, big pruning to happen soon. Right, I'm going to have a look down the west garden from the other direction, because otherwise you're just going to get my shadow everywhere. Okay, so down at the bottom of the west gardens, the bug hotels are doing their thing. It's very messy down here, but it's supposed to be. So there are weeds and there are flowers. In fact, actually, I must throw a few more wildflowers around here to join in with the cacophony, which hopefully will happen in spring. All the berries are now dormant and doing nothing. The blackberry, I've given it a good prune and it's just all dormant. The succulent garden is doing really nicely. Oh, look, and a little bit of alyssum has taken hold as well. So yeah, that is doing really well and starting to sort of fall over the edge, which I'm really enjoying. So that's lovely. And hopefully those little cuttings there will pick it up as well. And look at this. Isn't this wonderful? There was some moss that took hold all by itself, and now it's sort of put up little stalk things. I don't know what they are or why it's doing that, but it's happy. So, I mean, this is an indication of how wet it's been. My gutter gardens are incredibly dry, and I have moss in them. So yeah, well, there you go. The pond, of course, is very full and busy with lots of things going on. The water's very cold, I would say, in there. But yeah, we've got the little fish and everything seems happy. Yeah, so that's looking lovely. And I'm surprised actually how well these herbs are doing, because these like it dry down here and it's not dry, it's very wet. The Chilean guava is doing quite nicely and probably should do a little better. If we move Big Ben there to somewhere else, then I think the Chilean guava will get a bit more sun and actually should be a bit happier. So pleased about that. The camellia has flowered and is doing very well, so that's nice. And I have buds on my nectarine, which is wonderful, but I need to get it in a bigger pot. It's just sitting in this little pot, and this is not the right pot. So that also needs to happen before that bursts into life. So I'm going to have to, yeah, I need to get on with these things, don't I? I've got some lovely flowers on my rosemary, and the pollinators that are out and about are really appreciating that. So that's nice. And we still have nasturtiums going. Usually by this time of year they've sort of died off, really, but we've only really just started to have the very cold weather. So it's nice and sunny today. Oh, and there's a little bit of warmth in that sun, which is lovely. But at night it is going quite chilly. So yeah, that is the garden in the middle of winter. And I think it's looking, well, productive. Looking a bit of a mess. The bird bath needs cleaning out. Don't look at that. But yeah, it's nice to, you can see Crystal Palace properly when it doesn't have things climbing on it. I need to get those other two climbing baskets up at the front at Crystal Palace. But yeah, on a beautiful sunny day like this, there is nowhere better to be. It is gorgeous. So I hope the weather is nice and sunny where you are, and I'll see you next time. Bye.